This is it, y'all. The road to Super Bowl 47 ends today. This is what we as football fans look forward to. It doesn't get any bigger than this. Super Bowl 47. The Baltimore Ravens versus the San Francisco 49ers. Both teams being led by head coaches who are in fact siblings. John Harbaugh of the Ravens, Jim Harbaugh of the 49ers. First time in NFL history that two head coaches are siblings are coaching in the Super Bowl. This one's going to be a big one, folks. Well, of course, it's the Super Bowl. It's the biggest game of the year. It's the most watched game of the year. And take this time now to look back on just how these two teams got here. Now, when I first started my blog, the beginning, I say around preseason, around August, I did my own power rankings. And what I did is I ranked them based on their finishes in the postseason, which of course last season was the Patriots and Giants. Giants won the Super Bowl. They were number one, Patriots number two. But my third and fourth overall just so happened to have been the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. The Baltimore Ravens, the now AFC champions, they started out hot. They went 4-2, and they were number 2 seed behind the Houston Texans, who were on a rip and tear early in the season. Then all of a sudden, Baltimore goes into Houston and gets trounced. Then they start hitting the skids. Ray Lewis gets hurt. They started losing personnel left and right, and there was a huge sense of panic. The panic reached a boiling point when they lost to the Washington Redskins. RG3 was knocked out of the game with a knee injury by Haloti Ngata, which wasn't dirty. So let's get that out of the way. And Kirk Cousins came in, led the Redskins into overtime to beat the Ravens. So John Harbaugh, and I guess this is a Harbaugh tradition, makes a supremely bold move in the middle of this season. He proceeds to have Cam Cameron, offensive coordinator, fired, which Ravens fans all over the country, and if not all over the world, have been excited about this. They've been waiting for this for so long, because this man, how do you not use Ray Rice and deploy him as your biggest weapon on that offense? Ravens fans have been salivating at the opportunity to get this man canned, and they got their wish. It took a loss. It took just a debilitating loss for John Harbaugh to say, you know what, I've had enough. Cam, you got to go. So he brings in Jim Caldwell to handle the play calling duties. First week, obviously, with Jim Caldwell wasn't, it was transition, and they got stomped out by the Broncos. But it was work in progress, because after that, they put hands on the New York Giants. And the funny thing is, before that Giants game, when they lost to Denver, because of what happened all over the league and what happened for them personally, they backed into the playoffs. So they were already in the postseason. And with them beating up the Giants the way they did, the same way they did in Super Bowl, 35? Yeah, Super Bowl 35. They manhandled them. And that play calling, and so Jim Caldwell was looking good. That offense is clicking all of a sudden. So they win the division, and they go into the playoffs. Everybody had this concern about them losing 3 of their last 4. Can they get it done? Will they be one and done? Sure enough, Ray Lewis announced his retirement at the end of the season. So his final home game, they beat the Colts, which obviously there's some degrees of separation between those two teams. So they beat the Colts, and they head to Denver to face the Denver Broncos and the new look Broncos with Peyton Manning at the helm. And of course, everybody is salivating at the chance of seeing Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady 2.0 AFC Championship. This time, Peyton's in Denver and not Indy. So they're clamoring. There are analysts and pundits are already saying that it's a wrap. Ravens are done. There's no way they're going to go into Denver and win. What happened? Joe Flacco airs it out. Torrey Smith humiliates Champ Bailey. Raheem Moore, with the biggest defensive brain fart known to man, lets Jacoby Jones get behind him. Touchdown ties the game. Peyton Manning goes Brett Favre, NFC Championship 2007, throws a pick across his body. Well, hell, no, I take that back. Brett Favre, 2009 Minnesota Vikings NFC Championship, across the body. Interception. Justin Tucker kicks field goal. Overtime. Game over. They go to New England. And what did they do to New England? They beat the shit out of New England. Stomped them out. Made Tom Brady look like a bitch. I mean, it wasn't even close. You know, as the score implicated or indicated. Excuse me. They go into New England and they stomped them out. And so they punched their ticket into the Super Bowl. And they will now face the NFC champions, the San Francisco 49ers. Jim Harbaugh last year, much like John Harbaugh, got to the conference championship and came up short thanks to some special teams errors. So they come into this new season. The Niners come into this new season. And, of course, all the starters on defense are back. They bring in Randy Moss. They bring in Mario Manningham to shore up the receiving core, which was a huge detriment to them in the NFC Championship game against the Giants the season prior. And, of course, the Niners get off to a hot start. They go 6-2. And everybody's saying that, okay, they're humming along. They're doing their thing. They had some bad losses at Minnesota, and they got stomped out by the Giants early in that season. But a funny thing happened in St. Louis. Not funny, literally. But Alex Smith, who was having a great season thus far, and who came off of an impressive 18-19 passing performance against the Cardinals the week prior, goes to scramble, and Rams linebacker Jolon Dunbar hits him. Alex Smith comes out with a concussion after he throws a touchdown with blurry vision, which is impressive. And in comes second-year QB Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick finishes the game. The game ends in a tie. So the next game, which is a Monday night game against Chicago at San Francisco, Harbaugh, of course, taking precautionary measures. Alex Smith let him rest up, let Kaepernick take over. So a lot of people were thinking that they were just going to ease Kaepernick in, heavy on the run game, pass if you see something. Jim Harbaugh doesn't think like that. That Bears game was the coming out party of Mr. Colin Kaepernick. He shredded that defense. And that team won 34-7. And all of a sudden, we have a QB controversy. And I mean, this was huge. Because the thing is that Alex Smith could have came back that following week to play New Orleans. But Jim Harbaugh said he wanted to go with the hot hand, which was cryptic. But of course, that's his nature. That's his style. That's what he does. But basically what he was saying is that Colin Kaepernick had the hot hand and that he was going to ride with Kaepernick. So, unfortunately, an injury cost Alex Smith his starting gig, which is unfortunate because after everything that he went through in his career, and for it to be taken away in that kind of a situation, I mean, it's, you have to feel for him. He knows it's the business, but still. But Kaepernick, after taking over for Alex Smith, who went 6-2-1 in that game because he was the starter for the Rams game, Kaepernick proceeds to go 5-2. He marches, he basically takes down Chicago Bears defense, which was very stout at that time. He goes into New Orleans and beats New Orleans, which is not easy to do in that dome. Goes into New England and outduels Tom Brady in crappy conditions. They got beat up by the Seahawks the week after. But thanks to the Niners beating the Cardinals again and the Packers losing to the Vikings, they take the number 2 seed, so they get the home game. So what happens? They go into the playoffs. They get the Packers. The Packers have owned the Niners of recent memory. They were 4-1 against the Niners in the postseason play at the time. And early in the season, the Niners beat the Packers for the first time since like 1990. So now you got Colin Kaepernick making his playoff debut against Aaron Rodgers, who was the reigning MVP at the time. Adrian Peterson won, for those that don't know. And, of course, everybody's saying that the Packers had more experience. Aaron Rodgers was the better QB in this situation. He was going to do this. He was going to do that. Colin Kaepernick's going to make some mistakes, and it's going to cost the Niners the victory. All Colin Kaepernick did was run for an NFL QB record 181 yards, which is the most by a QB in regular season or postseason play. And he scored 2 touchdowns with his legs, scored 2 touchdowns with his arms. And the 49ers manhandled the Packers, 45-31. Don't let that score fool you. You watch that game. So they go to Atlanta. Atlanta is finally coming off their first playoff victory under the Matt Ryan, Mike Smith regime. So they're riding high. And, of course, Atlanta's got the number 1 seed, so they've got home field. So the Niners have to go into Atlanta. And Atlanta looked like the Falcons that everybody was saying that they could be when they mortgaged the farm to pick up Julio Jones. They put 17 quick ones on the Niners. And everybody was thinking this was going to be a rout. This game was going to be a wrap. But Colin Kaepernick and that offense, they just calmed down and they just kept doing what they did. And Vernon Davis said, hello, guess what? You remember what I can do in the postseason? 5 catches, 106 yards, TD, Frank Gore, and a defensive stand. 4th down, 4th and 4, or 4th and 5. Let's see, 4th and 4. Navarro Bowman breaks up a pass that pretty much iced it, although the Falcons did get one more shot at it, but Matt Ryan hurt his shoulder thanks to Ahmad Brooks landing on it. They tried to hook and ladder. Julio Jones got knocked down. Game is over. Niners Super Bowl. Which leads us to this. The Ravens versus the 49ers. Now, the Ravens and Niners have met each other with both hardballs at the helm Thanksgiving of 2011. And Terrell Suggs had a monster game. 3 sacks. The defense had 9 sacks overall against Alex Smith. And the Niners lost that game 16-6. Obviously, this is going to be a different look for the Ravens with Colin Kaepernick at the helm. Because now they have to worry about that pistol formation, the zone read option. The Niners are deploying that with Colin Kaepernick. So you got to worry about his legs as much as his arm. Because the Packers game, he proved he can beat you with his legs. Then the Falcons game, they zeroed in on his ability to run, so he started beating him with his arm. So now you got to pick your poison with him. Offensively, the Niners love to ground and pound. They have, without a doubt, the best offensive line in the league right now. And this is not even being biased with me saying this. Like, you look it up. You look at who they have on that line and how they get it done. And, of course, the run game with Frank Gore and LaMichael James. And, of course, Colin Kaepernick, you got to look out for him. And then, of course, the passing game, which has seen a renaissance as of late because Michael Crabtree, who finally broke out and became that top 10 pick that he was in 2009, had his first 1,000-yard season, and he's been playing well in the postseason. Vernon Davis, obviously. Randy Moss is looking to finally capture that elusive ring. To really, he has a Hall of Fame career. Regardless of what you think of him personally, you look at his stats, you look at his numbers, you look at the impact that he's had. Because Randy Moss is the reason that teams go for those freakishly tall, freakishly fast athletes. Because after Randy Moss came, well, everybody says Terrell Owens and things like that, but T.O. did not make the impact that Randy Moss did in his rookie season, 98. Because you look at the Andre Johnsons, you look at the Calvin Johnsons, you look at the Julio Joneses, guys like that, big physical, freakishly fast receivers. You look at Randy Moss was the genesis of that kind of receiver. Gone were the 6', 6'2" receivers. The Jerry Rice build, the Michael Irvin builds. Randy Moss changed all of that. So now he's looking to cap off his career with a Super Bowl ring. He had one chance in New England during their big year when they went 16-0, 18-0, and then 18-1, thanks to the Giants. But defensively, the Niners, they're looking to establish the front. Their front seven is one of the best, if not the best, in the league. And it's all contingent upon how Justin Smith plays, Isaac Sopoaga, Ray McDonald, guys like that. Their Achilles heel at this point would be the passing defense. They've been getting beat deep. And obviously that Falcons game showed that. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers hit James Jones on a couple deep balls. But they get beat deep. Now, normally if you throw a pass in front of them, they're sure tacklers. But you go over the top with them and then, that becomes a problem. So they got to look out for that. The other side of the ball, the Ravens, offensively, Joe Flacco has been playing masterfully this postseason. 8 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Ray Rice and Bernard Pierce, I think that's his name. Pierce, the running back that relieves Ray Rice when he comes out. So they've got a stout running game too. And of course the receivers, Torrey Smith, if he goes over the top of you, you're done. And Anquan Bolden, sure-handed receiver, big physical, sure-handed receiver. And of course you can't leave out the tight ends, Ed Dixon and Dennis Pitta. And so of course you've also got Jacoby Jones, who's an X factor in the return game, and as you saw in the Broncos game, he can go deep too. And how do you feel, Houston Texans fans, knowing that Jacoby Jones is on the verge of getting a ring without y'all? So, but defensively, of course, everybody in the mama knows who the heart and soul of that defense is. Ray Lewis. This is his final game, and he wants to go out on a storybook note like John Elway and Michael Strahan before him, winning the Super Bowl and retiring. Ed Reed, they've been wanting to get him a ring for years, and he finally has his chance. And then, of course, you have Terrell Suggs, T-Sizzle, controlling that middle. Haloti Ngata, big boy, but quick. So that defense, the Ravens defense has been stepping it up as of late. They're looking like the Ravens defense of old. This game is going to be a back and forth game. Who do I have in this one? I have it 31-27. I've been waiting 18 years for this. The last 49ers Super Bowl victory was on my birthday, January 29th, 1995. My 12th birthday, they won number 5. I turned 30 5 days ago. I would love nothing more than to cap off my 30th birthday week than with number 6. So 31-27, San Fran. This has been a great season. As a fan, couldn't ask for more. You had QBs tearing it up. You had rookie QBs of Luck, Russell Wilson, RG3, who is now the Offensive Rookie of the Year, did their thing. Got all 3 of them led their teams to the playoffs. Adrian Peterson, NFL MVP of 2012. Coming back off of a horrible knee injury. And carried the Vikings into the postseason. They were 3-13. And he carried them. Carried them into the postseason. He deserved the MVP. He deserved it. Peyton Manning, comeback player of the year. Coming back off of multiple neck surgeries and sitting out a season. And leading the Broncos to a 13-3 record. Luke Kuechly, defensive player of the year. Carolina Panthers linebacker. And Peterson, offensive player of the year. How about that too? But crazy season. And of course, I'll have more to say. And of course, post Super Bowl and then looking forward to the next season and doing a power rankings, an updated version of the power rankings, where I look at who I had, what teams I had ranked, and where I have them now, and do a explanation of why I had them there and why I have them where they are in 2013. So, till then, thank you all for watching, and have fun tonight.